When I find myself in times of trouble, I play a Beatles song. Okay, let's talk about Let It Be. As with any famous Beatles song, there are dozens of tutorials already on YouTube. And as usual, they are not very accurate. Now, most of them get the basic chord progression right, kinda, but when it comes to the actual piano part, including the correct voicings, not so much. Now, some of them bill themselves as easy piano or beginner's versions, and then it's totally fair to simplify. But even the ones that claim to reflect Paul's actual part of the record, I don't find very convincing. So this video is my own version of things. Of course, my transcription is also not gonna be 100% accurate, but I am making the bold claim here that I can get you much closer to the truth than anything else you'll find out there. So let's dive in. We start with a 4-bar intro, and here's the basic chord progression. The key is C major, and we got 2 beats each of C, G, A minor, F, back to C, G, F, and C. Now there's some details missing, which I'll show you in a second. So in the right hand he starts with C in root position, then G in first inversion, then A minor in root position, and on the end of 2 there's a passing tone G connecting the A minor to the F. And within that F chord he creates interest by first playing F major 7 and then F6. And they're both in root position as well. Next we got C again, this time in second inversion, then G in first inversion. And in the last bar there's a melodic motif that connects the 4 chord back to the 1 chord. So as you can see, the right hand plays mostly quarter notes, and that's true for most of the song. The left hand pattern is a McCartney favorite. He plays a similar version of this on Hey Jude, which I did a video on a few weeks ago. Here it's a bit more tricked out, but the vibe is the same. In the intro it sounds like this. Notice that F-sharp approach note. That's one of only 2 chromatic notes in the entire piano part. So if we put this together with the right hand, we notice that most of the rhythmic interest, the syncopation, is coming from the left hand, while the right hand mostly holds down the strong beats. So the verses have the same chord progression as the intro, except they are 8 bars long. So they go through the progression twice. The piano part is mostly the same as in the intro, with the usual variations that we can expect from music recorded in the 60s, where people, God save us, played entire songs all the way through, instead of, Here are the first 4 bars of the verse. The most notable difference to the intro is in bar 4 of the verses. It's the same idea, but he voices it differently. Here's what I think he plays. This for me is the hardest bar in the whole song as far as hearing what he does exactly, but I'm 90% sure it's what I just played. And then in the last bar of the verse, we get a little passing tone in the bass, B, which leads to the first chord of the chorus, which is A minor. The chorus is 4 bars long, and bars 3 and 4 are the same as bars 3 and 4 of the verse. So we only get 2 bars of new material, and it's in the beginning. We got A minor 7 for 2 beats. Most people just play A minor here, including Paul himself in some live versions, but on the record he definitely plays the 7th at the top. The next chord is super tricky. People play all kinds of different things here, and the reason for the confusion lies not so much in the piano part, but in other parts of the arrangement. Check this out. Paul plays C over G on the piano, so he just moves the lowest note in both hands down a step. But there are 3 harmony vocal parts that come in the chorus, and they sing this in the first 2 bars. So in the second half of bar 1, Paul plays a C chord and they're singing an E minor triad. If I put them together, it sounds like this. Technically, that would be C major 7 over G. That B up here really does something to the harmony that is kind of missing when we only hear the piano voicing. But the confusion doesn't end there, because Billy Preston also plays B3 on this song, starting in the third chorus. And he's like, okay, Paul plays C major and the backup vocals are singing E minor, so since apparently we're all doing our own thing, F it, I'm gonna play G major. And that of course adds a D to the overall harmony, turning it into C major 9 over G. So piano by itself, and piano plus vocals plus organ. But we're not done yet, because on the next chord, this happens. The piano, and later the organ as well, are playing an F major triad. But the top singer is still holding that E, which, if we put it all together, gives us F major 7. And then, thankfully, on the next chord, everybody agrees that it should be C major. So now let's compare the first 2 bars of the chorus with just the piano to piano plus vocals plus organ and see what a difference that makes. Here's piano only. And here's everybody. That's just gorgeous. But how do we deal with all this if we just have a piano and no band? Well, playing two-handed voicings like I just did, with all the notes included and abandoning the bass line, wouldn't work. Normally I might try and add the extra notes in the lower register to the piano voicings that Paul plays, but in this case it also matters where those notes are in the chord, I think. In other words, having the B up here and not down here makes a difference. And that's even more true for the E on the F chord. This is just not the same as this. So where does that leave us? Well, there's no right answer, but I think in this case we might just have to suck it up and play Paul's piano part only and miss some of the other notes. Here's the whole chorus. Okay, we're almost there. The next part is the little signature interlude. Sounds like this. He starts with that little descending thirds motif from the intro, but then continues to move it downwards like this. Notice that the B flat here is the second chromatic note in the piano part. And these 2 bars are also what Paul plays as the tag at the end of the song. So then the 2 bars repeat, but Billy takes over the melody on the B3. Paul just plays simple chords behind the organ here. Now the only thing left is the guitar solo. The chords are the same as in the verse, but Paul's piano playing changes quite dramatically. He moves the chords up an octave to get out of the guitar's way and plays mostly eighth notes. I can't make out exactly what he does in the left hand, but I think it's similar to the rest of the song. Here's what it sounds like. One more thing before we go. There were a bunch of different versions released of this song. The single version, the album version, remixes, remaster, the naked version, etc. And between all those versions, they actually used 2 different piano takes. So if what I'm showing does not line up with whatever version you're listening to, it might be because I transcribed the other piano take. And that's it for today. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Peace.